Now you all know my secret. I'm a slacker.
You know, it, no, no, we're not slacking. You're not slacking. It's just, you know, we just went out, you know, for a whole week, you know, did what we do, came back, and we're just trying to catch up. It's almost like going on vacation. Then when you come back from vacation, you've got your desk piled up. As an engineer, I enjoy, like, before going on vacation, it was kind of like, yes, right. And then that last day, as you're about to leave, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to go back and it's going to be like quadruple the work.
Yeah. Yeah. I did come back to something like almost 2,000 emails. It was, and I'm pretty good at keeping up with stuff, but this is like our first big event. So I wanted to stay pretty,
Focused.
yeah, on
Yeah.
task. But
Yeah. Same here.
all
Same
right.
here.
So let's dive into it. Today, we're going to do a little recap of the weekend. For those of you that were there, I know these events tend to be just insane amounts of information. And while we tried to mitigate some of that with the format that we used and not trying to cram too many speakers down everybody's throat, it was a lot. I mean, I think I work at a fairly high level. I mean, and I can't keep it all straight. So I'm going to be going back through presentations and back through notes, especially things I missed from running around over the weekend. And then for people that weren't there, you'll get a little insight into what we do. And, while maybe you don't get the benefit of having gotten those lessons, maybe it'll stir some creativity in you or something that you can bring to your coach or mentor and then work on independently.
You know what? Ever since I came back, I've had 4 coaching calls so far, and each one of them came in with a hefty list. And of course, we're super excited, but if we had to kind of like, okay, let's slow down. Out of that hefty list, did you prioritize it? If not, let's prioritize it. And then let's take the first thing. We're not going to take the top 3. Like we're not going to dive in that deep. We're going to take one thing and implement it maybe every week. Because even if we're trying to do top 3 and then we end up multitasking, something is going to drop. And we know that's really easy to do as business owners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's a certain amount of, and Melody talked about this in her presentation, not to jump ahead, but, there is a certain ability to split our focus and to, pay attention to multiple things at a time. And while it's a good skill to have at lower levels, for those higher levels, the human brain doesn't really focus well, contrary to popular belief. So, yeah, I mean, just picking one thing and running with it. Like I came back and I am right again focused on pediatric ninja specialties to specialist. It's going to be a tough one today, guys. The pediatric ninja specialist course, because that is my
Cheers, Mike.
single highest priority. What's that?
I said cheers, Mike.
Yeah,
I'm drinking the coffee for you.
man. There was too much cheersing over the weekend.
Cheers, Zing. At least we were in a place where everybody knew our name. I'm just kidding. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
No, but yeah, I totally agree with you. We came back and there is a lot of work to do on, our end. And as you're working on that, because you were the first person that was put on the list to, launch the pediatric ninja specialist courses, we're also trying to get a whole lot of things rolling out for Skillz. And like 2021 is going to be pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you guys know how we do. Anytime the Skillz team gets together, and now with Kelly as an addition to the team, like we're good through 2025 with the amount of ideas and information. And, I think, John, you and I operate on a certain high level, but to see what happens when somebody like Melody, who is probably a level above us at least, when she's able to leverage what we bring and then springboard that to an entire different level, and just watching her as John and Kelly and I just kind of, hey, we had this idea, boom, that idea was fleshed out, done, date selected, hotels booked, names selected, speaker lineup is already in the works. I mean, it's like things that we would say, hey, we're high level because we're going to do this. She already had it done. It was insane and inspiring to watch that level of action.
Yeah, and just sitting there, of course, and feeding off of each other's vibe, and coming out with more to implement. It's like Melody kept on saying over the weekend. We went to dinner at 5, and all of a sudden it's 8 o'clock, and we're still sitting there, and we're like just pondering. Wheels are turning.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be our just like, hey, let's get the team together and go to dinner, and everybody will hang out, and it's nonstop. But
yeah,
I love it. So, we got some great things coming, and I think I want to mention now, before I forget, that the next MegaCon event is going to be back in May. So hopefully the world will settle by then. It'll be back in May, and it's going to follow the same format as this event, where we'll have a VIP day and a lineup of speakers, and it'll be an event for your owners and high-level coaches, managers inside, and then your storm team instructors and such will be outside, beachside training. And then we decided to take this, well, I say we, I mean, I guess we were involved in the conversation.
to an extent.
I can't give credit for anything. Melody had this idea, I guess after talking with Kelly, that the Escape title and the things that are coming from Skillz now are going to work really well together, such that Escape will be a separate event, and it will be more of an escape. It'll be a retreat where the instructors, your floor leads, your managers will all come down and hang out with Clayton and Kelly and retreat. They'll get that recharge. They'll have some fun, do some team building. It'll probably be in St. Pete, so who can complain about that? And it'll be a really powerful event where very often we train ourselves, and then we go back home and try to implement all this stuff, and you pull your hair out trying to get people to listen. This will be an opportunity for you to just send your team and say, all right, go get it figured out, so when we come back, we're all on the same page.
And that alone is pretty awesome, because as school owners, we've all struggled with like certain team players or certain people not wanting to listen to us because we're kind of like the mommy or daddy figure, right?
Yeah.
And now that they're going to have their own retreat, and I may go, right? But I'm not going to go to be like, unless we have to go to present, or we have to go as speakers, right? But what I don't want to do, and this is my advice to everybody, is don't go as a school owner and hover over your team while they're there.
Yeah, in fact, we had a couple people actually talk to us about how they've had team challenges, and then all of a sudden they realized they stepped out of their school, and all those, well, not all, but a lot of those challenges went away.
Yep.
Simply because you took that stress of like breathing down their necks away.
Yeah.
We're able to step up, and I'm sure mistakes were made, but we can correct mistakes as long as nobody got put out of business.
No, exactly. And like, we've got cameras every corner of the school. And, when we first put the cameras in, I would go in and check, and, like every 2 hours, or shoot, I think it was every 10 to 15 minutes. I'll be lying if I said every 2 hours. But in all honesty, for the last 2 years, when we leave, we're gone. Where the team handles everything. They know what to do. They know how to do it. If there is anything that is like of like a really great issue, like a big issue or something, then they'll let me know, right? But I'm like, other than that, take care of it. Give them ownership. and let me know how you took care of it, so we're both on the same page. And we want to make sure that you guys do the same thing. You don't have to micromanage them, because the more you micromanage your team, they get used to that.
Yeah, it almost, as much as they hate it, it becomes maybe not a crutch, but it becomes, they almost give up. It's
Well,
like they give up that will to try harder because they know you're just going to change them anyway.
Yeah, they become dependent on you. Now, the big key thing here is, like, for all school owners to do this about it, is to create the SOPs. And if your SOPs are not done and you need help with that, guys, we can help you with that. But once that is in place and each one of your team members know what they need to do, when they need to do it, and how they need to do it, everything is written out for them. So you don't need to sit there and micromanage them.
Hey, two quick things. One, down on the bottom there, you'll see that as we talk about staff and everything, that this Friday, for you guys that are Skillz members, we are live with Kelly learning all about customer service. And in fact, what Kelly's been doing so far is working with us to prepare us for all the background SOPs and customer service, staff training, and all these things to put our mindset in place. Now, for the next 8 weeks, she's actually going to be training the teams of Skillz members. So it'll be an interactive call where she really reaches out and teaches about customer service. So I think that's something that we've never had before. A pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it's going to be a Zoom call, so you guys will be able to hop on the on Zoom with her and ask her all the questions. If there is anything that you guys, if you have any questions or any specific issues that you would like for her to start with, go ahead and shoot her those messages. So there is something to start. So you'll be one of the first people that would get your questions answered.
Yep.
And it's going to be recorded, and if you guys, and it will also be uploaded to Skillz Connect, correct?
Yeah, it'll all be recorded and uploaded, so you could go back, and if you missed it or you hire a new team member or something, it'll be available to you.
Yep.
All right, so now we also have some breaking news. Man, I should have had a video prepared for this too. I am so slacking today. Good morning, Victoria. Hi there. So breaking news. This is so breaking. It just got posted 15 minutes ago. Dun, da, da, da. Let me pull it up on the stream. Oh, that's a little hard to see. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can make that bigger. I have the technology. Let's see what we could do. Zoom in. I don't know if that helped.
Yes.
A little bit. All right. So this is breaking news. Let me scroll through this. This is over in the Melody Johnson's Free Skills Tips group. And Melody just released our flash sale for the month. So we are doubling the annual paid in full discount on the Skillz Gold membership. So normally you do a year, you get 20% off. She's doubling that. So if you sign up this month, you will get 40% off your annual Gold membership. So normally that's $38.30 and 40 cents. This is transparency in our advertising. But if you're one of the first 5 schools this month, it has to be this month. You have to be one of the first 5, and you'll save almost $1,000 on that. That's a pretty sweet deal. And then you'll keep that for as long as you keep your membership current and in good standing. So there's a pretty sweet bit of breaking news for those of you that are thinking about upgrading after this weekend or thinking about joining.
I mean, listen, that's literally almost 4 months worth of skills of the $399, actually about 4.5 months worth. So guys, jump on it. And if you guys have any questions regarding to those, reach out. No, because we can give you all the nitty gritty about what all Gold membership has to offer. Keep in mind, we're lifetime members. Well, we were Gold, and then we were Platinum, and now we're Lifetime. So I guess we know what we're doing.
Golden pony.
We just know about this much, maybe, right?
Yeah, just a little, just a little.
Just a little.
So let's talk about this event. Now that we got all the breaking news out of the way, let's talk about some of the things that we that we took away. Because guys, I mean, we're Skillz execs and everything, but we're constantly learning and taking new info and running with it and experimenting with it and seeing what we can do. So if we could take new stuff, I guarantee everybody else was able to take some stuff. So
You know what? I'm gonna put you on the spot because you usually put me on the spot.
Man, he beat me to it. I was just about to put you on the spot.
But this is one of those situations that it happened this last weekend, and I was asked that question. I was like, "That's a pretty good question." So, Michael,
Uh-oh.
you presented.
I'm running on like a half an hour of sleep today.
This is an easy question.
Let me take.
It's more like a yes or no question. So you had 2 presentations this weekend.
Yes.
That you prepared.
Yes.
Did you walk away with one thing from the presentations that you prepared that you realized, like, you may be doing it, but not to its fullest effect? Or maybe like, you know what, I'm going to implement this. I researched it as I'm doing my presentation, and I'm going to start implementing it because this is like, gold.
So I can actually give 2 examples, and one is a little more inherent to the presentation process. I've been doing public speaking since I was about 15, and I was a foreign exchange student, and I was thrust on stage. So I don't necessarily mind getting up and speaking, but I tend to be a little more freeform in the way I do that, and I'm sure you guys have noticed that even on this call. Nowadays, I do tend to work from notes, because I'm getting to be of an age and my mental capacity is shifting. We're not going to say diminishing. It's just shifting. But one thing I did notice is, the way I write and the way I speak is very long form. And in presentation, I learned this weekend, this was my first time actually doing like a very specific format and staying on topic and not having tangent. So I think I need to actually, I'm going to say provide less. And I don't mean provide less value or provide less content, but I need to find ways to make it more digestible for the viewers. So I was told afterwards, this was great information, but it was so much, and I don't even know where to start. So I think for me as a presenter, I'm going to go from my model of, I think one of my presentations had like 72 slides. Melody's presentation had 9 slides, which included the title of her presentation. So that was one takeaway that for me as a presenter, I took. The other one was actually for my presentation about becoming a child development center, where I was going through all the steps that I went through over the past year and a half or so, and especially in the past 6 months, as we all had to reinvent our schools to go from being the martial arts school that teaches skills to a Skillz school that teaches martial arts to a Skillz child development center that it doesn't matter what we teach. And one of the catchphrases we've been tossing around for the past month or 2 is, what does it take to become a $399 a month school? So we're about $50 away from that. We're at the $350 point. There's a couple of things I still can't do because of local legislation, and I'm pretty sure those will be the things that bring me to $399. And I was so proud of that. So proud that when I asked who's a $399 a month school, I was the only one to raise my hand. I thought that was really awesome. And then I got to ask you about dance, and I realized that I'm doing all the right things, but my goal is not high enough by a factor of 2 to 3, and that I need to not only change my slide, but change my presentation. And this is a more intermediate term goal.
Yes.
I'm staying focused on where I am, but that I need to, as I brag about not selling myself short, I need to not sell myself short and have a longer term goal of providing my members of having the opportunities that will allow them to pay me $1,000 a month. So it's not necessarily about making the $1,000 a month, although if anybody wants to come change their tuition rates, I'll make the change right now. It's about, seeing all these things that people need and then finding ways to fulfill it in a way that the need and the fulfillment are the transaction, and the money is just, what allows that to happen. So my new goal, secondary goal, is to, having given a presentation and gotten feedback real time from John, is to become a $1,000 a month school. Not gross, like per student.
Yeah. And, again, this is where we are as a martial arts school right now. And in order for us to make us to that level, we got to have it where it's like, from Marina's perspective, Marina can graduate at 18 years old from her dance studio straight into the workforce. You know what I mean? And this is something that we're working on right now as a Skillz world, to graduate our black belts, or when they're 18 years old, they can go straight into the workforce. How many people actually started their own martial art business at the age of 18, right? I think majority of us started older. I started at 18 because it was like one of those situations that kind of popped in front of me. And it was like, I'll do it. Like, it was a no-brainer, right? Now, did I have the tools in place back then? No, I did not. All I knew is that I was a second-degree black belt, that I was training, that I liked to compete, you know what I mean? And I thought it's going to be easy where I can just get on the floor and teach a bunch of kids and a bunch of adults how to punch and how to kick. Things are not the same anymore. So with everything that's going on right now, with having the pediatric ninja specialists program in place, that will definitely allow us to take our students from the Storm Team platform and take them into the certified pediatric ninja specialists, and that will help us level up. Now, it sounds really easy as I'm saying it, and I hope everybody understands that it's not that easy as I'm saying it, because there is going to have to be a whole lot of numbers and a whole lot of statistics in places to make sure that this is working properly. Because I know there's a lot of people out there who are listening, and they're not, ready, aim, fire. They're like ready into the fire mode, but they don't know what the aiming needs to be like, what the steps needs to be like. Couple of comments. John said he went from gold to lifetime, and it was the best thing he did. Victoria said that she jumped straight into lifetime. She didn't even do the steps in between.
So Victoria is, just to highlight somebody who's doing an awesome job. She said she jumped right into lifetime. And when COVID hit, she's over in UK. So she looked at it as an opportunity. And I'm sure she went through her moments of, oh crap, what next? I don't think they say crap in UK. You guys are also very proper. Is
that a fancy word for crap?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a fancy Queen's English word for crap. Now I'm just picturing the Queen. I'm sorry, Your Highness. I'm sorry. But what she did was she pivoted immediately, just like many of us here in the States did, and really dominated her market to a point where people across her country were saying, who's this Victoria chick? Why is she teaching what she's teaching? How is she intruding on my territory? And, who is she? And it turns out she was doing something really positive. She's been, on the radio and on TV a few times maybe. I follow her on Instagram. You guys should go check her out on Instagram because she posts amazing content, and you guys should be following her lead. She's definitely a leader in her industry. So shout out to Victoria. So looking at first, just the Skillz presenters, right? So we've got our personal takeaways here. Looking at the Skillz presenters, what are some things that you thought were new and innovative? Because I know sometimes people just look at a business and they say, oh, they're talking about their product lines again. But
Yeah.
that's not how we do. So
No.
what do you think was
You know what? You said something that, John, if you don't mind, I'm going to share it with everybody. Sensei John said, like, he's been to so many different events, martial art events. He said the one thing that he enjoyed the most is there was a whole lot of meat and potatoes in this event. There was nothing salesy. There was nothing, rah rah, shush kumbah. It was like, he wasn't being sold on anything.
Yeah,
And
I got that
that's,
feedback from a lot of people that, vendors certainly plugged their stuff, but I
of
think they
course.
did so really tactfully and ethically. Sometimes you go to the events and it's a big hour-long sales presentation, and all of the vendors really brought their A game. These are people who, some of them have contractual relationships with Skillz, but for the most part, they're just people that we invited because we align with what they do.
Yep.
And, listening to how Chris brought all of her marketing knowledge and talked about the next steps that are becoming available and some ways that we can start to leverage this as school owners. Sure, she plugged GrowPro, and in full disclosure, I'm a GrowPro client,
So
and
am I.
man, am I excited to start using some of that new stuff that she was showing us with the AI. But she did it in a way that it was just, here's something of value to you, and if you think it's really valuable and you'd like to become my client, here you go.
Yep.
Same thing with Houston. Not about websites. It was about his entrepreneurial mindset where, he's not a martial artist, but now he owns a martial arts school. And, I loved his story, how he walked into it and got a little bamboozled and was ready to make a business decision to close that business and just take it as a loss. And then he walked in to tell everybody on the night of a black belt test, and all the kids came up and said what the school meant to him and how they thanked him for keeping it open. And I love the fact that he stepped into something that was failing by accident. It was not full disclosure, I guess. Then when he recognized it was failing, he made a mindset shift to say it's not failing. It is wildly successful because look what it's creating. And then he found ways to make the business match the product. And yes. I thought that was just so inspiring. We've all, over the past 6 months, how many of us have thought about, even just for a second, thought about closing our schools?
We need to quote what you just said.
Which part?
He find a way to make the business match the product. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that a lot of people don't do. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they try to do, like, for example, are you utilizing, and I'm going to use Skillz because that's all I know right now. Okay. Are you utilizing Skillz, and does your business match the product? Does your business match Skillz? You know what I mean? Because, a lot of people say, yeah, I teach Skillz, I'm age specific. Well, are you? We're a child development center. Are you? You're not talking the talk and walking the walk. You're simply, something is missing there. So no, what he did was great. What he did was really good. He made the business match the product. So.
Yeah, and when he started from, Melody talked about, operating from the principles level. Once you define what your core values and principles are, everything that you do gets measured against that. So it's not, do I go with this vendor or that vendor? Do I spend this money or not spend this money? Do I start this program or not start this program? It goes to, well, what are the principles behind what I believe and my vision for this business that are based on those principles, and then my long-term plan that's based on that vision that's based on those principles. Makes it really easy to steer. And I think when Houston went in there, and I don't know if he had those principles to begin with or if it was a conscious thought, but he had a profound and fundamental shift, seeing what he saw, and made decisions based on his core values and principles. And I'll bet you those kids are very thankful for that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And maybe not just the kids, maybe their parents too.
Yeah. You
I
often think
mean,
about your direct student, but it ripples for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's see, who else did we have? We had the one and only Dwayne Spires there. And the thing I took most from him, like he brought some great information and he did some
He
work.
did.
I did miss part of it because I was out working on some stuff, but I caught a really important part. My dad died when he was just barely 60 years old, and his father died at just barely 59. So Dwayne at the very end pulled up this whiteboard and did a calculation where he took the number 78 and subtracted his age. And he said that 78 is the average lifespan in the United States. And when you subtract your age, that's how much time you have left. Now, Dwayne had exactly half of his life left. So a little bit older than Dwayne. On that calculation, I have significantly less. Now,
Yes.
if you look at my father and my grandfather, now I live far healthier lifestyles than they do. I don't smoke. I eat far healthier. I'm more active, so I'm looking more at my forebears that live to 110. But, if you consider that maybe I only have 14 or 15 years left, all of a sudden, like things come into perspective really quickly.
Yeah. So, you said you missed the beginning. So let me give you a little bit of a small background of how he started this, because to me, as soon as he started with it, I was like, oh my God, I know exactly what he's going with. Okay. Because for those of you that were there at Naomi, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, my presentation on Friday to the Scape in the Scape conference was about wellness skills, and it wasn't wellness as in like anything, except it is your wellness, it is your body, it is your temple, it is your mind, it is you, right? So when Dwayne went out there, not to talk about my presentation, but when Dwayne went out there and he started, and the first thing that he started with is the I am statement. For the people who have the great mindset, you got to start with the I am statement. Okay, because I am a big believer um, of the, I don't know how I can pre-frame this, but I am that I am, right? And I'm a big believer of that. You are what you are, not by accident. You are who you are intentionally, and it should be intentional. So when he started asking people, I am fill in the blank, I am fill in the blank, I am fill in the blank, and then he closed it by, you are valuable.
A lesson that we need to hear more from ourselves. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people tell us, but we need to hear that more from ourselves, to find, like, as a younger man, I'm going to phrase this really carefully because this is a family show. As a younger man, I grew up surrounded by empowered women. There are certain drives in a young man's life. And I kind of prided myself that I could find beauty in everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something to find beauty in everybody. So it really opened my romantic life a little bit. We'll leave it there. But how often do we do that to ourselves and say, I'm having a hard day today. I'm everything I do just falls apart. Nothing's working right. That's your most important moment to stop and find that beauty or that specialness about yourself, because it's going to shift your whole train of thought and make it a more powerful experience.
Yeah, and once you realize your value, your self-worth, your whatever, things just starts falling in place like faster than you can think. Go ahead.
I was just saying the comments are acting all weird. You guys look at the comments down in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a good one for me. Who else do we have? So we had Chris and Dwayne and Houston. We had Roncel up there, and I love some of the stuff that he talked about where, as he moved forward through his life, putting systems in place so that, it's interesting because here's a guy who's pretty hard charger and pretty visionary in the things that he does. He comes from a historic background in his family of martial arts. So he's a man to be noticed, but everything he talked about, if you really look at it, was about how to replace himself. And now I did notice Ron's shoes. Ron has some strong shoe game going on. Not as cool as